Hey, what's going on, everyone? I want to show you an interesting and educational end game today. This game is from the year 1870 at the bottom in with the white pieces. You have Gustav Neumann, and with the black pieces, uh, our first official recognized world champion. And as we can see, um, black is moving from the top of the screen downward. All right. This is basically white's only chance. So here, Newman with the white pieces has played the move G7, and of course wants to play G8 and Queen. And so now it's Steinitz' turn to move. So Steinitz here plays Rook C7, and now um, Newman right here can just draw with the move King G8. Okay, there's really no way for black to be able to stop white from queening here um, without the rook sacrificing itself for the pawn or just having to uh, engage in a perpetual check situation. All right. So, for example, I don't know. Let's give some randomness here. So if the rook c8 check, just simply king h7, again with the threat to play g7. Okay, um, and then if rook c7, then the same thing, rook h8. So king g8 is a very uh, simple draw here. Now, for some reason, Newman played king f8, and perhaps he felt it was just the same. So maybe he got lazy in the position and said, uh, I can play my king to f8 or g8. And at first glance, it's counterintuitive because why would you want to block the pawn, right? After all, it looks like, you just dropped the pawn. But after king h8, again, you now threaten to play g8 and queen, and there's no way that black can stop it. He has to play rook takes g7, and guess what? That's a stalemate. All right, and this is probably the possibility that Newman overlooked here was the stalemate possibility. He probably figured that after king g8 that he was just losing the pawn here, and then thus the game. So he played king f8, maintaining the idea of queening a pawn. So now Stein has played king f6, and this threatens mate. So if white is not paying attention and just automatically queens, as many people do in blitz, then rook c8 would be checkmate. So, of course, Newman played g8 knight in check. And now with these endings, there's a lot of theory, endgame theory here, and we're not going to go into all of the positions. There's numerous positions, but in general, what white wants to do in order to survive here, because again, white cannot win this position, only black can. But what white must be able to do to survive here is, and this is a general principle here, is to keep the king and knight close together. Um, Once they are separated by some distance, then it is easy to win the game for black. So if you're black, you're trying to divide and conquer, so to speak. Um, Think of the scenario, in those old time movies where two prisoners escape, you know, from jail, and they're like shackled together, and then they have to decide, once they free themselves, are they gonna stay together, or are they gonna go their separate ways? And there's always the debate. Well, if we stay together, it'll be, easier for them to catch us or whatever, and then so usually it wind up getting separated, and then they both get caught anyway. You know, because there's the other argument that, hey, two heads are better than one, and maybe there's safety in numbers, and those type of things. So it all depends on the situation. But here, the knight and king um, need to stay together in order to have a chance to hold this ending. So let's see how it went. King e6 by Steinitz, and um, Neumann has to be very careful. He has not many moves here, right? If he moves the king to e8, he gets checkmated on c8 with the rook, and he has only one legitimate knight move, and that's knight h6. Okay, so this is 1870, so clearly Steinitz knows what he's doing here. Okay, now he plays rook h7. Okay, now here's the moment of truth. Now remember what I just told you about knight and king staying together. So what should be white's move here? Right, the knight is being attacked. He only really has two places to go. One is g8, now this g4. Based on the information I told you, knight g8 should be the move. So knight g8, and just to give you an example, rook h8, king moves to g7. Right, staying together. Still hard for black to win. Other move is rook f7, king e8. Let's say rook b7. Just sliding the king back. And notice how the knight and king stay in close proximity to each other. And then, like say rook g1, and then the knight can simply return to g8. And the onus is on black to show and prove, that he has a win here. Instead of knight g8, Neumann played knight g4. Okay, and now you can see the separation already, and this gives Steinitz winning chances. Steinitz here played the move rook h4, attacking the knight. Now there's an even stronger move here that wins quicker, and that move is rook h3. Sometimes the threat is stronger than the execution itself. Okay, because instead of just attacking the piece straight away, this move cuts off all of the squares for the knight. If you look right now, h6 is covered by the rook, f6 is covered by the black king, e5 is also covered by the black king, e3 is covered by the rook, and h2 is also covered by the rook. That gives knight f2 as the only safe square to go to, at least for that move. But as you can see, there's a king on f8, and therefore after rook f3, the game would just be resignable at that point. Okay, the other move is just knight e5. Of course, black would just capture the piece. So rook h4, there's really nothing that white can do here. After rook h3 again, if the king was to move over, same thing. Just rook g3. If the king moved over to e8, then there's mate on h8. However, Steinitz played this move, rook h4, just attacking straight away, but he had the same idea, because once that separation is happening, very difficult for white to bring his pieces back together, because black just won't allow it. So rook e4 chasing the knight, And now you can see the knight and king separated, by the whole board. Rook f4 check, king g7, and this just allows black to gain the necessary tempo needed to put the squeeze on the knight. So now he moves to f3 and he cuts off more squares. As you can see, e3, f2, e3, c3, right? So now the knight's only way out is to come to b2, king g6, and now king e5, king g5, king d4, king g4, trying to attack the rook, rook f1, knight b2. This is a good instructive end right here. So rook b1. Again, there's no place for the knight to go except a4. And now closing it out and causing white to resign is rook b4. And if you look, there's nowhere for the knight to go. The king is placed perfectly, the black king that is placed perfectly on d4 and stops the escape of the knight to c3 and c5, and then the rook takes care of the rest. And that was all she wrote. So I hope you enjoyed that ending. End games are very important, and it's good to know how to handle these endings from both sides, because I guarantee one day you will be either on the white side or the black side, and it's good to kind of know what's going on here. So this video has been helpful to you. Please like and subscribe, and I don't mind donations either, and I would very much appreciate it. Thank you very much for listening.